Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for this Ask Me Anything webinar on how to finance your education here at the George Washington University. My name is Rebecca Vander Schaaf. I am the Director of Admissions for our Graduate School of Education and Human Development. And I'll be chatting through a few different things today. I want to go over how to estimate the cost of attendance. I know that can be a point of confusion for some students. I certainly want to talk about types of funding available, of course, and then to provide a few tips on how to maximize your return on investment. I'm going to jump into the presentation. If you have questions at any point throughout this presentation, please go ahead and chat those to me, and I'll try to get to those in our Q&A afterwards. So to estimate the cost of your GW education, you'll need a few different things. You're going to need the current rate of tuition and fees. You'll need the number of credits required for graduation from your program of interest. And then you'll need to know what you're looking at in terms of scholarships, tuition discounts, and grants. To find the rate of tuition, there's a link right there on the screen, and I'm going to break that down for you. Some of our programs have the credit rate on the program page, and some of them you'll still need to go to this link. So this link goes to this page where you can click Graduate School of Education and Human Development. And then it takes you to this really confusing spreadsheet. So I wanted to go over this quickly to make sure you're able to decipher this just as well as I can. What this spreadsheet is saying is that in general, our tuition rate per credit is that top number, 1815, that's circled in red, except if your program is listed underneath there, you have a different tuition rate. So for example, if I was looking at the online organizational leadership and learning program, my tuition rate is $1,170 instead of that main tuition rate. There are some fees that we charge, and so those are listed down here. Most students are not charged all of these fees, so please don't be overwhelmed. It's really it's just a couple of normal ones. There's sort of the matriculation fee that everyone is charged, the student association fee, and then these university fees are typically on a case-by-case basis. So when trying to figure out how many credits are required for your program, that will be on your program page. This one is showing you an example of the international education program. In their curriculum section, it says that they were required to take 30 credits to graduate. And so that's where you'll find that information. And of course, if you have questions about that, just let our office know, and we're happy to find that information with you. When if you're admitted and your scholarship will actually appear in your admission letter. So this is a quick example. Obviously, it says the test right up here in the name, but in this example, the scholarship offer is boxed in red, and so you'll see that this scholarship of $5,000 is to be evenly distributed over 2 semesters. So when you're going forward to calculate the cost of attendance, this is sort of the formula that you should probably follow. So you want to know the per credit tuition rate, the number of credits, plus any fees, and then minus any scholarship that you've been awarded. So let's pretend George here is going through the same process. His per credit rate tuition is $1,400. He's going to take 30 credits to graduate. He has $303 in fees, and he received a $20,000 scholarship. And so his overall cost of attendance is right up here. It's this $22,000 number. It's worth noting that the cost of tuition does rise slightly every year. This is very normal for all U.S. colleges and universities. We try our hardest to recommend that the tuition stay the same or ideally go down, but typically it rises about 2 to 3% per year. And so just something to note as you're considering costs. So there are different types of funding. There are merit scholarships, and that was in that example that I just gave. Merit scholarships are awarded by my office at the time of admission, and these are often multi-year awards. So we are awarding as much as possible to incoming students based on the strength of their application. Awards range in size from 0 to full tuition. Most awards are going to be a partial award for tuition. So it'll be some amount towards tuition, but not all. We also offer graduate assistantships. This is mainly at the doctoral level, although sometimes also at the master's level. And these assistantships cover most of tuition, if not all, and then also provide a stipend and or salary. If you're interested in a graduate assistantship or a merit scholarship, it's great if you can indicate that in your application form when you're filling that out. There's a section in the finance area where you can click that you're interested in scholarship or interested in a graduate assistantship. Once you are a student, you also are able to participate in work study. Work study is through our Office of Student Employment, and you can work in a variety of settings all around the university. It could be in the library, it could be in a research lab, it could be in an office like mine. It could be all over the place. Students are able to work up to 20 hours a week, and the pay really varies. Obviously, no less than minimum wage, and then it can range up from there. And then finally, we do offer some endowment awards. We mainly reserve these for current students. So you can apply for them as an incoming student, but typically we award these to continuing students who do not have other merit scholarship that will continue forward. So I mentioned the job search for student employment. There's also a number of our students who decide to work in addition to school. This is not possible with all programs, but many programs are part-time or their classes are mainly in the evenings or on the weekends. And so in those cases, it is possible to have the opportunity to do an additional job, either part-time or potentially full-time. As a current student, you have access to Handshake, which is a platform where employers can post jobs that they are particularly interested in GW students for. And then you would also have access to our career services department. And so that's all available to students. And then additionally, of course, the work study information. If you are looking to use federal aid or private loans to finance your education, you'll end up working with the GW Office of Financial Aid. So the first step to applying for federal aid from the US government is to fill out the FAFSA form, and you can find the link to that from our website, or you can just Google FAFSA and you'll find it right away. Most aid at the graduate level is loans. However, federal loans are often competitive in terms of their interest rates being a bit lower than private loans. So it is something to consider. However, we do accept private loans as well. And so if you're interested in that, I always advise people to be careful and make sure you read all the fine print, but we're happy to provide some information through this link here on our financial aid site. So before we jump into Q&A, I wanted to share a few tips with you. In my years working with students, one of the things I used to always wish for, and I'm happy GW has, is a monthly payment plan. So if you're a student who wants to pay as much as you can out of pocket, but it's hard to pay that on the first day of class, understandably, there are payment plan options at GW where you can pay a little bit each month. And so you would need to apply for that. And I included the link here. But if that's something that's of interest to you, I would encourage you to explore it. Second, start planning as early as you can. I know probably everyone says this, but it is really helpful to have time to piece together your plan to finance your education. And it's hard to do it at the last minute. So as early as you can, start to piece together the financial picture for your degree. 3, a lot of students forget that a big part of figuring out whether or not GW is right for them is calculating the return on investment. I encourage you to think about what is your salary going to look like after graduation? How much more quickly can you accelerate in your career path and in your salary? What are the other benefits that may not hold as much monetary value, but could have significant impacts to you personally that you want to take into consideration? If you can think about all of those in addition to the cost, sometimes it helps to understand whether or not GW is the right fit for you. If you're taking out loans, you can pay some interest back as you go. So you don't have to take out a loan and then wait until you've graduated to start paying it back. A lot of students forget that even just tossing $20 at a loan as you go can make a really big difference in the end. So I do encourage students to consider that as part of your financial plan. And then finally, a lot of students want to defer in order to save money or help work on their financial plan for graduate school. And I'm always cautious about this. Sometimes that really does make sense, but a lot of times with tuition increasing each year and you delaying what should be a higher salary after graduation, in the long term, it doesn't make a lot of fiscal sense to delay graduate school. The best time to go is going to be the earliest point that you feel ready to enroll in graduate school. That's the cheapest it's going to get. And we want to make sure that you are, one, making a bigger impact in your field, but two, also getting the benefits of that higher salary as soon as possible. So I hope these tips are helpful. I'm going to end there and switch to Q&A, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. The first question is about the endowment awards and when they're going to be announced. These are typically for current students, and so I believe the deadline for applying for them is sometime in February or March, depending if you're applying for summer or fall aid. And so I believe results will be announced sometime at the end of March. For the payment plan, oh, great question. You do not end up paying more money, I believe. I don't think we're not offering a loan, so there's not, there's no interest in terms of the payment plan. It should be the same amount of tuition that you would have paid anyway, just split up into several different bills rather than being combined into one. There's a question about when to complete the FAFSA. This is a good question, and it kind of depends when you're applying. The Department of Education releases the next FAFSA usually in the beginning of January, so it's meant for the full year. So I believe if you were starting a program in 2023, you would want to fill out the FAFSA anytime this year. But to double check me on that, I would check our financial aid page and follow their instructions as well. If you fill it out and then it expires or it wasn't the right one, it's not that big of a deal to go back and fill out another one. So you won't be penalized for filling out the FAFSA too early. It's probably better to be early than too late. And I believe once you fill out the FAFSA and you'll send it to GW, that's when our financial aid office will begin to work with you and try to figure out what you are eligible for. I don't see any more questions coming in right now. Oh, here we go. There's a question about who is considered a new student at GW. If you are entering a new degree program or certificate program at the university, that means you are a new student to that program, and so you'd be eligible for potentially merit scholarship as available. There are not scholarships for non-degree students. So if you are taking courses non-degree, you would be going through our Office of Non-Degree Students. instead of through my office. And so you would work directly with them. I don't think they have any scholarships available, but I could be wrong. So it would be worth asking them. I don't see too many other questions coming in, which is just fine. Hopefully I covered everything then. I know the recording of this will be available afterwards, and I'm also happy to answer any questions. So please feel free to reach out to me directly too, and happy to field questions. And I hope this has been helpful. And I do hope to see you join us on campus. It'd be lovely to see you guys. Thanks so much, everyone.